from JP Morgan. It says it could be painful if the European Union imposes a full and immediate ban on Russian oil. The bank says that could send the price of Brent up 65% to $185 a barrel. But one potential solution to supply problems in the oil market, the nation of Guyana. It's been the scene of the world's biggest offshore oil discoveries in years. Since 2019, 10 million barrels of oil and gas have been confirmed. And joining us now is the Vice President of Guyana, Bharat Jagdeo. He is taking part in the Bloomberg NEF Summit. Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for your time with us today. What role do you see Guyana playing in potentially filling the void of Russian oil?
Well, it's not just Russian oil. We're hoping to increase production rapidly. We're moving from discovery in 2015 to the production of about 800,000 barrels per day by 2025. And we're hoping to accelerate the production given the net zero target of the world. So we believe Guyana could be a major supplier of light sweet crude to the world in the future.
Okay, good to speak to you, Vice President. Let me ask you about the conversations you have with the U.S. administration. Clearly, many Western governments would like to see choice of where they get their energy supplies, and Guyana might be preferable to some others. Is there anything you want to hear from the Biden administration to allow you to push forward with further production?
Yeah, we would like to have a supportive environment to grow the industry in Guyana. Pre-COP26, we were told that we should not develop oil and gas resources. Just recently, the UN Secretary General said that there should be no funding for exploration and development of these resources. We have argued that countries like ours have a transformational opportunity, and therefore, even though we all support a net zero target, the world has great demand for fossil fuel at this point in time. So the environment has to be supported. We recently had one of our loans vetoed at the Inter-American Development Bank from a private company that is supplying the oil and gas industry here in Guyana. So we'd like the US administration and the international community to create a supportive environment so that we can play a greater role in the world's energy security.
And what investments do you see coming into Guyana from the rest of the world, from the Middle East, for example?
We have seen investments from everywhere, and not just in the oil and gas sector, in the hospitality sector, and now agriculture. So we are hoping that the interest in Guyana that has been caused because of this major discovery of oil and gas resources here, the world's attention is on Guyana to capitalize on that attention to seek investments in other parts of the economy too. And I dare say we've been very successful at that. But we've just seen the largest, we've just approved weeks ago, the largest single investment in Guyana, $10 billion for the 4th FPSO for ExxonMobil. So investment is pouring in, but we hope to channel it in to many other sectors so that we can have a diversified economy.
Yes, and can I ask you about the private businesses that are going to be playing a role in that, Vice President? You mentioned Exxon. What is the latest plan for leasing new oil licenses? Will Exxon be allowed to bid, or do you want to diversify to have other players?
We have been very cautious of this, even when we were contesting the elections. Prior to now, the licenses were issued on a first-come, first-served basis. From the moment we discovered oil, we decided that we'll have to auction these for new licenses, the new areas. We're in the process of determining whether that auction will take place with seismic studies done by the government of Guyana or without seismic, or utilizing those resources into a national oil company and getting a strategic investor. We have not made a determination whether should we go the bidding route. the option route, that whether to allow the existing producers, for example, Exxon and the others, to participate, because there are already complaints about the high level of concentration. So that decision has to be made by the government of Guyana and will be made shortly. We're anticipating by September of this year, we will make a determination as to which route we'll go.
All right, well, Mr. Vice President, let's talk about oil and the oil expansion and what it means for the growth of your economy. We got the latest report out of the IMF earlier today. It estimates Guyana will grow 43.5% this year. That is a remarkable number. How does that track with your own government's estimates for growth, not just this year, but next as well?
Yes, but we're starting from a very low level of growth, our GDP. So our gross domestic product now is just about $9,000. And we've had a struggle to get it there because 20 years ago it was close to that of 80. And this would mean a huge growth in GDP. We have to be very cautious because globally many people think that we'd be swimming in a windfall. And as of this point in time, after 2 years of production, we've received about $700 million in revenue from the sector. We have not spent any as yet, although we have budgeted for this year for the first time to utilize some of those resources because we wanted to pass strong sovereign wealth legislation, which we did late last year. But it's not a whole lot of money coming in at this point in time. So we're doing a couple of things. We're trying to tame expectations nationally that where people want more spending to be done because the resources are limited at this point in time. They'll grow rapidly in the future. And globally, we are also saying to people, we have not received a lot of money as yet, but more will come in the near term.
So more will come and you'll decide how to spend it. Clearly, being rich in natural resources can be a blessing. It can also make life difficult in some senses for some countries. How do you make sure that Guyana does not fall victim to some of the negative forces that can follow?
Yeah. And because we are aware of that, the Dutch disease and the oil resource curse, we're determined not to go down that route. That is why the diversification of our economy is so crucial at this point in time. Spending on education, on healthcare, on infrastructure, ensuring that a substantial portion of the resources are saved for the future. These are all important aspects of ensuring that we don't squander the resources, and then strengthening the accountability provisions in our sovereign wealth legislation so that there would be no theft of these resources.
Vice President, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to Bharat Jagdeo, the Republic of Guyana Vice President, for spending time with us here on Bloomberg TV.